my God, that sucks. I love it.
Sweet. What's up, dude?
Not much, man. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. How was your workout experience with us this morning?
It was good, man. I'd already done it once. Sled hit a little harder today after being gone for a couple weeks. And
Gone. Where have you been?
Spain for a week, and then had South Africa for 9 days. So that was a blast. But that ice bath, I've done a few now, and that was definitely the toughest one, considering it's like 31 outside right now.
Definitely hits different when it's cold.
Yeah, because, I mean, your head's cold too. The upper body's cold, lower body's freezing.
Somebody was asking me about that the other day. Like, is it easier when it's cold outside because you're already used to it? And I was like, hell no.
No, because you're coming straight out of the house. Like, you just did a workout, you're already pretty warm.
Yeah, when your internal body temperature is higher, it's easier. Doing it after a workout, like we do it,
Yeah.
is easier. Waking up and getting straight into that thing,
It's reckless.
I tell people, I try to do that like 3 days a week probably. I'm not
Yeah.
perfect about it. I'm not going to sit here and say I do it every day, but to wake up at 6:30 when it's dark and cold in the winter, and to just like within 10 minutes of waking, get in the cold plunge, that's demon time.
Yeah.
That's like fighting demons.
Yeah, but these workouts are crazy consistent. The routine's hellish over here, for sure.
Yeah, it's dope. I like the sled. The sled keeps it all together. Because no matter what happens in the gym, if you hit the sled,
you know you got work in.
you put work in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. It's cardio. It's a little leg workout. But yeah, especially when the metal is cold.
Yeah, when your hands are about to fall off.
That was bad today. That was the coldest I've ever had it.
Yeah.
The metal sled that you're pulling. I need to get like a strap.
Yeah, straight into the push-ups in that ice cold ground.
Yeah. Whew. Well, hey, we put some work in.
We did.
Hardest part of your day's over.
Everything else is easy.
That's the point. I always want, if someone sits down on this podcast, my goal is that they already experienced the hardest part of their day. I feel like that's freeing, right?
Yeah. Everything else I do today is a breeze.
It's just bonus. It's just sprinkles.
Yeah.
That's what I should have called it, is sprinkles. No, that'd be soft. But anyways, dude, let's tell the people. So you started in 2021
Yeah.
with Aptive. Let's take it back though. I want to because I don't know all the details about young Max.
Yeah.
And I just think it'd be cool to get into it a little bit. Hey, you've already achieved a certain level of success in door-to-door as a really young guy, and you did, in the last couple of years. And I love hearing where people came from. Like, how did you get started with Aptive, right? But I liked hearing about like what led up to that. So, you were born here in Wilmington, right?
Statesville, North Carolina.
Statesville.
So Statesville, outside of Charlotte.
Okay. So you were born and raised there until when?
Till about 10 years old. So
Okay.
definitely grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina. And born into just like a normal middle class family, at least when I was really young. Dad just owned restaurants. Immigrant dad owned restaurants. Mother was like a stay-at-home mom. And then moved into Wilmington.
Dad's a chef.
Dad's a chef. Dad's a very good chef.
Brazilian.
Yeah, from
Okay.
Brazil. And moved to Wilmington. He worked at a restaurant for a little while. And then after that, he was out of work. Mom was out of work. So kind of bounced around Wilmington a lot growing up. And then...
You're in downtown Wilmington.
Yeah, I was in downtown Wilmington.
For a little bit at least, right?
Through high school. Through high school, I was in downtown Wilmington. Middle school, I lived in like 3 different places leading up to that. And then ended up at a spot for like 3 years. It was like tiny little like 1 bedroom that we could find, like the cheapest thing in Wilmington. It was just like one like open space, had like mold in the ceilings, like no ceiling. So the whole family basically chipped in, did like 6 months remodeling there instead of hiring some people, and then put together a house, and then we stayed there through high school. Found Active because all my friends had 3 friends, 3 of my best friends, Ryan, Sebastian, Tyler, Ryan, all were going out to sell. And I kept asking them, and they're always talking about it. I kept asking, what are you guys doing? What is this? Like, nah, you wouldn't like it. You wouldn't be good at it. So eventually when I asked them, they eventually broke, put me on a meeting with Robbie, and got here. I was just looking for something to change, something new.
Yeah, because you were like, I mean, anybody that doesn't know Max very well, like, you were like almost like the opposite profile of what you would think somebody like who would step out and do door to door.
Yeah. Didn't talk to people. Definitely a little bit of a degenerate as a kid. And was super antisocial. And
you kind of played that role too, right? I mean, you're like rapping, like that was kind of part of your persona, like long hair.
Yeah.
You played football, so it's like you obviously had that friend group, but
yeah,
you know, like not like Mr. Goody Two Shoes, get into sales kind of kid.
No, it was more so the work ethic just came into play, and I just wanted it bad enough. I feel like when you're in like a rougher situation, if you just buckle down, you think about that, use that as motivation, then you know that that's not going to happen to you again, no matter what.
Yeah.
So you just put in the work, put in the hours.
I think that's a common thread with you. A lot of the Hoggard boys that came on, Hoggard's a high school in Wilmington, if you don't know, but I think that's like a common theme with all of you guys. That's why I love everybody in Omega. I love everybody that I work with, but there's always obviously a special place in the heart for the SEAL team in 2021. That's where the roots of our growth came from. That's where just a lot of this started.
Yeah.
So, and what I love about that team is, like you said, the guys you just mentioned, there's just a grittiness about.
Yeah. We were just hungry.
Yeah. No sales experience, right? And just to put it in perspective, again, if you're not in the door-to-door space, even if you are, right, think about it. Me and Jack Sortolini, basically through Jack's younger brother, Tucker, got connected to Tyler Matlock, and then kind of got connected to all you guys from Hoggard.
Yeah.
Right? Which, shout out Tucker and Matlock, right? Great connectors there. And introduced us to a group of young, gritty kids that were just out of high school or still in high school when we met you.
For me, yeah.
And, you know, with no sales experience, and we were able to put that ragtag team together and go put up over 1.5 million in revenue as a team. And you guys, you know, even though obviously the summer has its ups and downs, and, you know, you learn a lot about how front end and back ends work with this job and commission, right? But still more money than you probably had ever seen.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was 17 years old. So before, you know, we had a Joey Rosen and had a HD come around. I was super young, and I couldn't have imagined that the culture would be this crazy, and it would go this big and this far. I was super grateful.
So you start. So okay, let's take it back. So you're 17.
Mm-hmm.
You're still in high school.
Yeah, I was had COVID year before that, so I didn't have a second semester. Went to school for 1 day in person my senior year, and then
which was 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
Okay.
Switched to remote. Not proud of it, but I just asked to go to the bathroom. Never went back to my high school. Switched to remote, and then was just playing football and about to graduate whenever I came across you guys.
Okay, about to graduate. You got in on that meeting. You wanted to go work with your friends, and you know we hired you and started training you.
Yep. Skip my graduation.
Skipped your graduation to come out, and you started what? Was it early June or was it late May?
Late May. I skipped my graduation after my exams. Came out there, started selling.
Nice, savage.
Had a good first day.
What was your first day?
It was 5.
5 your first day.
5-day first full day.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I think that's honestly what like flipped the switch for me. Like right away. It was
It
like
had to have been a crazy day. We were probably like, holy
there was a
shit.
tornado too. Like it was like a half day. Like I went back. I got like one like lowest contract possible early in the day. Everyone went home for the tornado. I was like, I haven't been here for a month. Might as well go back out. And sold like 4 out of 5 doors. Feeling crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I got 0 my first day.
Yeah. I mean, my shadow day, the day before that with Jack, I couldn't even spit out my approach. I was like dying laughing on a lady's porch. And he had to take me into the middle of the street in our neighborhood and have me just like spit out like a couple sentences for like an hour straight. And then somehow the next day I put it together to get 5.
Yeah. Yeah. And this job, you know, a lot of guys ask like, what's different about like that guy's approach or this guy's pitch in general? It's like, yeah, I don't know what percentage of it is actually your pitch and your skill, but it's not all of it because it's a lot of your heart and like what you're.
Yeah. I think at that point, like my first full day, like I'm sure my pitch wasn't very good at all. I'm sure I was just like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, happy to be there, and just working, just knocking as many doors as possible. And that's just kind of how it fell. And then the pitch got better later. But like I'm sure if I looked back at it, I got to watch that version of Max. Like the pitch was terrible.
Still had your long hair.
Still had the long hair.
That didn't change until
2 days later.
2 days later.
2 days later.
So you were day 3. You buzzed it.
Day 3, I buzzed it all off because of a throwdown. And then I was like, I'm really locked in now.
So day 2 was probably a Thursday and you lost. And then day 3 you buzzed it, or was it the same day?
So day 1 I had 5. Day 2 I knocked 320 doors and bageled, had 0. Day 3, no, and then the night of day 2 I buzzed all my hair off.
So that was a Thursday.
Yeah.
So throwdown Thursday, you knocked 320 doors, full knocking day, no sales.
No sales.
Right after day 1 getting 5.
Yeah, right after getting 5 on like 100 knocks, I knocked 320 and got 0.
All right, take notes. If you're about to knock doors for the first time, or even if you're a freaking veteran, take some notes. That's crazy. 5, your first day on the doors, 320 knocks, and a bagel, which is 0. Day 2, you lose in the throwdown. You buzz your hair all off. And his hair was down to his shoulders.
Yeah, for like, literally from like age like 5 until like 17, I had long hair.
Like long hair.
Like long.
And Max got some flow. Like
yeah, like I never let it get, like I would never let any barber cut it like above, like below my ears. It was always super long.
That's funny.
We haven't gone back though.
Yeah. Now you're rocking like the fade, the long on the top kind of deal. But yeah, you buzzed it all off.
Oh, bald.
Yeah.
Bald.
Yeah. That was with Aunt Schiavone.
Yeah. He got a lot of joy out of that.
That's funny. Well, you got the last laugh over the summer.
I did.
Dude. Gosh, I love that. And so you finished. You were integral part of our team, have become integral part of Omega culture, but you finished what? Your rookie year with what?
I think it was like 197 accounts for 125K.
You started in late May. You sold through Jersey postseason.
Sold
right?
through Jersey postseason. After that first day, I didn't get more than like 2 in a day for I want to say like 3 weeks or so. So going into July, I always tell rookies this. Going into July, my rookie year, I had like with the ACV then, average contract value. For those that don't know, it was 17K I had total.
Going into July.
And then I had like 90 something sales and 75 services that July.
In July.
Yeah, that July popped off a little bit. And then
I mean, at the ACV back then, 75 services is probably
about
what?
40K.
40K.
40K or so. So then going into August, I was at about probably just short of 60, maybe a little over 60. And then was just consistent after there for the next 2 months.
And worked into first half of September?
Yeah. So I guess I averaged a little over 30K those next 2 months. And then got to 125.
Made it happen.
Yeah. It was a process.
Yeah. But I love hearing that. I mean, everybody's got a different runway and everybody's got a different story. So Max, as a 17-year-old, went from 5 on his first day on the doors with a tornado and a half day to 320 knocks and a bagel on day 2 and losing a throwdown and buzzing your hair off, which you had since you were 8, right?
Yeah.
To not getting more than 2 in a day, but being pretty consistent, not bageling much.
Yeah, just get 1 or 2.
Through June and having 17K through June and then popping off and getting to 60K by the end of July, finishing with 125 some point in around mid-September.
Yeah.
Just being gritty and just getting it done, which 125K is kind of our team leader mark for rookies. So
as a rookie, not then. They're lucky now.
Not then, but you made it happen either way.
I did.
You made it happen either way. Yeah. Wow. That's an awesome rookie story. It's like I knew those things, but just hearing them again, honestly, reminds me. Like I kind of forgot some of those details.
Yeah, I mean, it was a super, super up and down rookie season. But I'd also say I'm pretty sure I also had the most knocks and most DMs out of
you did. I remember
out of the
that.
whole SEAL team, and I got there a month later than everyone, and a lot of other people did postseason, and I managed to get more knocks and DMs than everyone, and just grit it out.
And Max was known for that. You were known for that.
Yeah.
You were known for you were going to put up a stupid amount of knocks.
I was going to get 220 knocks.
Right.
Probably 60 decision makers to get my 3 Ps.
Right. And again, this is something that rings true. For example, again, in the following summer, 2022, Joey, the top rookie, he was not the best closer. And we talked about that on him in my podcast. He wasn't the most skilled rep, right? You weren't the most skilled rep.
No.
Right? But you finished near the top because you put in the most work.
Yeah.
And you did put in the most work.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing for any rookie or any new salesman of any sort in any door-to-door space or direct sales space, regardless of who you are. Whichever rookie, compared with all the first-year reps, is going to work the hardest, they're going to finish near the top, and it's going to pay dividends later on, too.
Yeah, the knocks, if you put 2 lists, if you say top revenue producers as rookies, top door knockers, they're almost always the same.
Yeah.
They're almost always like the exact same.
Yeah, it's really rare you'll see a guy like consistently knock like, 180 to 200 doors for his whole rookie summer, like not die down, and he doesn't finish, somewhere pretty good.
I tell people that on our interviews too.
Yeah.
I tell them, look, like what I'm saying is easier said than done, but if you just work really hard every day, like you'll make sales. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like you're going to make sales. But it's just, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious. I was going to wait until maybe after we talked about the next couple years, but I want to try to unpack that. You're a rookie. Let's unpack. Okay. Why were you able to work so hard? Like why were you that guy that was working the hardest every day?
I think it comes down to why.
Yeah.
Like it came down to my why at the end of the day. Everyone's got, different backgrounds and different things they're going to have a why for. For me, it just related back to I have to make sure my parents are okay. I don't want to be in a situation like I was growing up and just using my why.
Okay, on that, let's say you're a rookie rep listening to this, or you're about to knock for the first time, or you're an experienced rep and you need a kick in the ass going into year 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
So did you feel like that? Like put yourself in Max's 17-year-old shoes in 2021. Did you feel like, hey, I'm going out to do this job and this is going to change mine and my family's life? Like,
yeah.
Did you think about it as a multiple year thing, or did you think like this year I'm going to go make a bunch of bread and that's going to like change my life and take pressure off? Like how did you think about it in terms of your why?
You can't think about it as like a 1-year thing, and you can't think about it as your why also can't just be I need to make like as much money as possible. It can't be only money, right? Like money has to be something that money will get you. But I think that for me, I was trying to build that foundation, and I was going to make sure I built the best foundation possible, and I got, close to or in a leadership spot going into year 2 and then building from that.
So you saw it as a thing. You saw it as a progression
Yeah.
from the get-go.
Yeah, I saw it as a process from the get-go. I knew I wasn't going to step out as a rookie, especially with percentages there and commissions then and like who I was. I knew I wasn't going to step out and just go make like $100,000 in 12 weeks as a 17-year-old. But I
Which
knew
people
do that.
People do, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from you, but it's just
Yeah.
insane that even
Yeah.
is a possibility.
Yeah, but that wasn't exactly on my mind. For me, it was more so to build a really strong foundation and develop myself a lot. And I feel like I grew a lot as a person too, that rookie summer.
Oh yeah.
So much.
No, I mean, dude, if you you've changed so much.
17-year-old Max and 20-year-old Max is like aged like 10 years in like 3 years.
Right. In all the best ways,
Yeah.
I think. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of good stuff, especially for rookies to hear. That's a lot of good stuff. So you put up 125K.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're making upfront money. You know, what was it like? I'm curious. What was it like, going from not having a ton, like in your like childhood growing up in Wilmington, to starting to make some upfront money? Like, were you like spending that? Like, were you kind of just like silly with it, or like, what was your mindset of making your upfront money and then getting your back ends, and how did you kind of like handle your money? I know it's kind of a personal question. I'm just curious, how did you handle your money your rookie year?
Yeah, I mean, during the summer, I didn't really spend much money at all. Outside of like food, I feel like in the past 2 summers recently, I spent more like upfront money during the summer, but
Yeah,
I wasn't spending any of my upfront.
Gucci sweatshirts.
I wasn't spending any upfront money. I made like a little under 30K. I see a lot of rookies, they'll come out and make like around that mark, and then by like January, like they don't have any money. I was able to like stretch that and stuff plenty in my pocket by the time that I got to the next summer in like April or May. So I just,
because 30,000 is a lot of money.
yeah, I would just keep like $800 to $1,000 in my checking account, keep the rest of my savings, and just act like I didn't have money as a rookie. Only thing
I see people burn through some money,
Yeah.
and then they blame it on everyone else.
And
too.
I mean,
it's interesting.
I guess I was 18. I mean, made like 30,000. I still had like over like $1,000. Like I still had like $700 in rent. Still had like a $250 phone bill. Like I still had bills to pay, and was still able to like have fun, go places, and like separate that from my bills and still have money to save and spare.
Yeah, you just have to not be an idiot.
Yeah, like can't make 30 and then go buy Gucci sweatshirts.
Right. You got to save your upfront money. Rookies, listen.
Have to.
Save your upfront money. Back ends are coming, but like,
You're gonna wish you did once it's like October and November. Still, you're gonna wish that you saved all that upfront money. Because when you look at that number of like how much you made up front, and then you realize how much you still have from that upfront, that hits you, and you're like, darn, you're gonna regret it later on.
yeah, save your money. Save your money so you can like not be stressed in November, December, January, February, prepping for a team.
Yeah.
So you make 30K. You're pretty smart with your money. You get your back ends by January. We go on a team leader trip,
Mm-hmm.
right? How was that experience? Was that your first time out of the country?
I didn't do Costa Rica, so
you
I just
didn't
had
do Costa Rica.
Yeah, because we had a lot of guys around that mark,
Mm.
like around me. So I didn't do Costa Rica then.
Well, we were a little bit tighter with the standards.
We
huh?
were tighter. So
Okay.
I went to Utah, and that was it. Hadn't been out the country yet. So the first team leader trip was last year.
Okay.
And that was my first time out the country, like as an adult. Like lived in Brazil when I was young, but then I hadn't been back in a long time.
Okay, talk to me about this. Talk to me about this year and last year. So your second and third summers knocking.
Mhm.
Talk to me about maybe your vision and growth with this company going into your first year and seeing this, and maybe seeing guys that you want to like kind of be like and grow to. Talk to me about your wins and your losses over the last 2 years and your current mindset about like what's possible for this upcoming year. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
talk to me about like where you might have fallen short or where you think that you really have kind of stuck to those goals, and
Yeah.
talk to me about what you see for this upcoming year for yourself.
Yeah. Second year was like a huge growing experience. Like definitely had some losses, Probably mentally knocking doors, like the lowest that I have been as long as I've been with the company. Started really early. I was kind of in a mindset of like, I didn't prepare myself enough, and I was more so like, mental burnout's fake. I'm just good. I can knock as many doors as possible in a row, which I still believe burnout is fake. You just have to prepare yourself for it, and you have to be a dog and do the right things for your mental to get through that if you're gonna knock a lot during the year. So I didn't prepare myself enough for that, and then I set lofty goals thinking it'd be super easy, compared to what I did the last year before. So I started off pretty good, like through like June. I think like mid-June and end of June, I was still like top 50, 60, like in all of active. Like I was doing pretty good. And then after that, it kind of just fell off a lot. I got in like a big mental rut. And mentally, I was way too hard on myself. And I would like try to fix it, try to do a lot of work on it. And just mentally, I was really negative on myself the end of that summer.
So that was year 2. So you were top 50 in active going into June, which was probably what, like 100K?
Yeah.
So 100K going into
100K
June.
in June.
So so you feel like you didn't do enough prep
Yeah.
mentally.
I didn't do enough mental prep to knock like a 6-month summer.
Okay.
100%. Because over that next few months, I did like 50K and I was like scrapping and clawing. And another thing I did is once I got to that point in the summer, since I came up short of the 150 mark, that was my goal the year before, I started thinking about how easy it'd be for me to do 150 and how like that mark is so close and I can so easily get there. And I kept thinking about that 150 in the back of my head instead of thinking about the big mark that I originally set. And then that's what I ended up getting. So that was like how year 2 went for me. Year 3, I was in a way more positive spot. I started knocking later, stopped knocking sooner. And a lot of people were complaining about like market, where we were going in DC. And I just didn't care. I just wasn't going to hear it. I wasn't going to complain to myself anymore. I wasn't going to whine. So I just buckled down, knocked the doors, and I was in a way more positive spot this year. And I mean, it was the most that I made in a summer by like $42,000. So it paid off a lot this year.
So this year, what'd you finish at in rev?
180, and I have 90% retention. So 90% of the accounts are still active.
That's fire.
And
That
then
might be the highest in Omega.
And then residual compounding from last year too. So
yeah, you're 20.
yeah.
Right. So max is 20. Stepped out in year 3. Put up 180K in revenue, 90% retention. At the commission percentage you earned, that's probably what, $80,000?
Yeah, and then bonuses.
And then bonuses. We just got back from South Africa, so you got to do that for free, right? You get a residual, which is $1,000 a month for a whole year the following year. So you earned that in 2022.
Yeah, so this year I'll get $1,500 a month for the entire year.
Because you get...
So an extra $18,000 next year.
Yep. So, I mean, effectively, that's $100,000, right?
Yeah.
Effectively, you just earned 6 figures selling pest control.
Close to it. Got a new car. Been able to go out the country a few times. Been on a lot of trips.
So cool. So, year 3, making 6 figures with bonuses. You got a new car. What's your mindset going into year 4?
So I'd say Utah flipped a lot for me this year, probably more than ever before. I think last year, Aptiv as a whole, people did really good with Aptiv, right? Of course, but from a sales standpoint, compared to like the Grit and other groups, we definitely came up short. And this year, when we went to Utah, and I saw how many guys leveled up, and like seeing the stage of like all those guys that did 500K, I think it was like 34 guys. Huge respect to those guys, but I feel like I'm just as good as anyone else. So that's what I want this year. And that's what I'm dying for. So my mindset is to just start to turn into one of the best.
Yeah, and that's how I feel too. Utah this year was big. Seeing the golden goats, they call them, guys that did 500K plus, get up on the stage. And dude, I have an abundance mentality too. Like yeah, I want to be competitive with the grit and
Yeah.
like not trying to, ride on their coattails or anything, but like huge respect to those guys, dude. Like
They set the tone.
they're setting the tone in terms of personal sales. You can say what you want about it. I'm active till I die. Like everybody knows that, right? Like I bleed active green, but like you can't argue with numbers, right? They got guys that are putting up crazy big numbers. And I think a lot of it is the 4-minute mile effect. And I'm feeling that with Omega.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like we had Richie do almost 400K this year.
Yeah.
We had Joey do 330. We had Mason damn near do 300. We had Brock do over 250, right? Like we got guys putting up numbers. Cam put up big numbers this year.
Yeah.
We didn't have guys do anything close to that in 2022.
No, not even close.
Right. And I think instead of like looking at the grit and being like, oh, they're faking it or whatever, it's like, they're just working hard. They're working hard and putting up big numbers. They got the 4-minute mile effect. So there's the belief. But the cool thing is I don't think you got to join them or anything. I think we can compete, right? Like our mindset can elevate to that.
And now we're starting to watch it in-house too. I mean, watching like Richie do that. Richie is someone who like I started with, like we always pretty much sold it damn near like the same exact pace our first 2 years. And then he blew past that. Watching a guy like Joey and then seeing like all the other active guys throughout the company whose best summers was around, 200 to 300, level up and do that 500. I think it's huge for the rest of the company.
And yeah, like you said, like we can do it with our own, and we don't have to change anything. Like in this industry, so many guys are like, "Oh, I need to go to where like I'm gonna be blah blah blah." It's like make it happen on your own, dude. Like make it happen with your own. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about the abundance mentality. It's like I don't feel like scarcity. Like I've got to switch something up to make good things happen. Like we can just. It's like that universal intelligence. It's like if they're doing it, like we can do it. Like let's all win together.
Yeah.
Like we can do that. Like we can stick with our own. We can all win together. The guys at the Grit are doing fine. They're gonna have their recruits. They're gonna crush it, right? And Aptiv is gonna be fine. We're a huge company. We're gonna grow. Like we're still the NFL of.
Yeah, we have all the same resources. We have the best resources.
We have the resources.
We are the resources,
right? Like we are like Aptiv's the goat of door to door. Period. Nobody can argue with that. There's like an NFL to knocking doors, and that's what Aptiv is. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so, there's no reason why we can't achieve at that same level. And we're going to. Yeah, we're going to. Like we said, we basically doubled in terms of what our ceiling was from 2022 to 2023. And we have the same exact thing about to happen. Like Richie pushed that 400K mark. I'd bet the house he's going to do 700K plus this year, right? And maybe we have another Grit guy pull a Seeger and do 1.5. Awesome. Well, guess what? If Richie does 7 or 800K in 2024, then somebody's doing $1 million in 2025. Yeah. And if they do $1 million in 2025, somebody's doing 1.3 and doing a double golden door in 2026. So we're going to get there, and we're going to creep up faster than I think people realize. But this is our year. Omega, I can feel it.
It's going to be the biggest year easily.
I mean, we got 8 or 9 guys committed to do golden doors. Like they're saying it, like they're out there. They're not just like talking about it in private. They're like, we're going to do it. I don't know, dude, how do you feel about those 8 guys talking about it? Never done it before. Like, what do you feel about it?
Dude, I believe it. I'll stand on it. I think all those guys all have the tools and all have the skill too. It's just, it comes down to a mental thing. I feel like the difference between, a lot of people will tell you, there's a lot of people like in the industry, and they'll be like, how do you expect someone to go from 200 to 650? Or how do you expect someone to just go from like, yeah, he did 370, but how's he going to do 650? I've always been a believer that like the difference in like a good rep or a really good rep, like a high level rep like Richie that does 370, and the difference in a golden door rep isn't that huge. If you go and watch them on the doors and you watch them work, it comes down to a lot of little things and a lot of split decisions. So I think all those guys have the tools too.
And if Richie leads the way, or Joey leads the way, or Brock leads the way, or you lead the way, right? Like we're gonna be competitive. Like
Yeah.
y'all will compete, right? I know you guys
Yeah.
are some dogs.
Yeah,
you're
and
gonna
we're a
compete.
group that competes big time. Like we're all competitive guys.
That's why we just gotta collectively raise that standard.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to. But yeah. What about you? What do you think? Like, you don't have to, if you don't have to go out and say it if you don't want to. But like, when you think about your goal for this upcoming year, is it like an effort goal? Is it a mindset goal? Is it a revenue goal? Like, what comes to mind for you when you're like, I want to do this in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, revenue-wise, it's 500, but I feel like it comes down to, like, my mindset and my mental a lot. Just proving to myself that, like, if I want it and I put the work in, that I can be, like, right there at the top with all those other guys. So I think that's just my biggest thing. Just proving a lot to myself. I don't feel like I need to prove anything to anyone else. I just want to prove that to myself.
What's that going to take? Like, what's going to change this year, bro? I'm curious because this is an interesting.
Yeah.
I'm talking to somebody right now who's done the 200K mark, basically, right?
Yeah.
And to go from 2 to 5. First of all, a lot of it is us banding together and learning and growing together, right? Because this is something as Omega within Aptive, we haven't had a rep do this, and I think we're going to have tons of reps do this year.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is just us banding together, learning from the greats, and just growing, right? But I'm interested to come from a singular mind of a young guy trying to go from 2 to 5. Like, what do you think is going to be different about this summer for you?
I think it's gonna have to take off-season wise. I feel like in the past I haven't picked as many brains as I should. I have top level reps. Pick a lot of brains, implement that. Better routine.
Which we're working on.
Also, which we're working on right now. And then also just mentally be the strongest, right? I've always been able to knock the doors, and like work's never been a thing, like work ethic. I'm not worried about that. But I think just to mentally know every single day that I can go out and I can do this number too. Just flipping the switch to, after putting all the work in the off season, know like once my feet hit the ground, that I'm going to go out and I'm just going to do this number, and it's not negotiable. Every single day, what my daily number is, I have to get it up there. No weekly goals. Can't think too much about the year. Just think about day by day. And I think that's huge.
I do too. I'm really grateful to guys like Jake West and Aptive, like Seeger at the Grit, for the content that they put out and podcasts, whether it's Landing Pad, whether it's on the Door to Door podcast, Taggart's thing. There's just so many good nuggets from those guys. And I think Seeger was talking about it. He was like, you got to try as hard as you can, like on all the little micro stretches too. Like even like a street, like, yo, this street I'm going to get to.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to sell 2 on this street. And then like that builds into, well, if you don't get one, okay, the next street I'm going to get to. And that builds into like that day you got 10, but it's really just like all these little stretches where you were really putting max effort out. Like you said, you can't really focus on the week when you're out there at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Like it doesn't help.
If you're focusing on the week, say you didn't have the best Saturday in the world, so you already don't have a bunch on route for Monday or Tuesday, and then you go out and you have an okay Monday, you don't quite hit like what you needed, then once you get to like Tuesday or Wednesday, you start thinking too much about how behind you are instead of thinking about what you need that day. And then you start scrambling, you start overthinking too much, you start having doubt.
Or you might just write it off.
Yeah, or you might just write it off and completely change what you wanted. And then you're just okay with not hitting your goal.
Right. And I think that's a real danger. I see that happen with rookies a lot too for the whole summer when they're like, I'm going to do 150 or I'm going to do 200. Right.
And they're like, oh, well, I only have this time left. Maybe I'll just do 125.
Yeah. Or even worse, they just get like this whole really toxic view of the whole entire experience because they're not going to hit their goal.
Yeah.
And they know they're not going to. Right. Yeah. So 150 is the goal. A much slower start happens than they want. Right. And then it's mid-June and they're at 30K and they're like, dude, this is just stupid. I don't even want to be here anymore. There's no way I can hit 150K. I'm not going to make any money, like all that stuff. And that's just because you're looking at it in a frame of the overall summer goal or the weekly goals instead of just like putting your max effort out that day.
And you can't have any, on a day-to-day basis, you can't have any self-doubt in yourself at all. And I also think that it used to be like pushed a lot to like always set a realistic goal. Don't shoot high. Don't do something that you haven't done by like a large margin. But I feel like that's detrimental too. I feel like always if you shoot high and you lock in on that and you buckle down and you don't change it and you work as hard as you can, don't have any self-doubt throughout the summer, if you come up a little short, if you have a huge mark, you're still putting up a lot of revenue.
I think people are scared to set big goals and reverse engineer them because that's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
It just means that you have to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Big goals this year for sure. I mean, doing 500K would be massive. It's going to be massive.
It's going to be huge for the program.
Yeah. When are you going to start?
I'm going to go ahead and do a blitz January.
Okay.
Do one February.
What, just like a couple weeks for those or what?
1 week blitz, 1 week blitz, and then mid-March start all the way.
Okay. Mid-March, that's going to initiate your real 2024 season.
Yeah.
You're trying to get, what, 30K or so under your belt with those blitzes or something like that?
Yeah, probably 220K weeks. 220K weeks, so about 40K between those two blitzes.
Get the gears rolling.
Yeah.
Get the rust knocked off.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. What's the preparation leading into this? Like what you talked about, hey, I got to get my mental right. I got to improve my habits or whatever. What does that look like going into 2024 now?
Yeah, it's staying in the gym. So, I mean, waking up early. I've already been even through like the past 3 weeks when I was out the country and before that. I've already been waking up pretty early. It's been pretty easy. So,
which is new for you.
Yeah, that's been something I've gotten a lot better at this year. So wake up about 7:30. Go ahead and do the gym. Get that out the way in the morning. Come home. Do some reach outs. I think training with guys is also just huge. When you train guys, it just keeps you dialed. And then dial in a podcast, writing my pitch, doing it in the mirror. Treat it like I'm a rookie as far as like practicing my pitch since I'm going to go ahead and do a blitz in the next little over a month. So treat it like I'm a rookie, like I've never done it before. Crack open the manual. Really just act like I've never sold before at this point.
Get humble.
Yeah, get humble. Do it all over again. I feel like that's something in year 2 and year 3 I didn't do as well. Like when I was a rookie, if I had my best day, if I had a 10 day, I'd come home and I was going to write my pitch out for what I did good. I was going to make sure that the next day I was feeling just as dialed. And if I bageled on 320 doors or whatever, then I was also going to come home and do the same thing. Read the manual multiple times. So just treat it like I'm a rookie these next couple months.
Yeah. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah. And then, you've got other things you're interested in too, right? So the gym is something that you used to do really religiously when you were playing sports, right? So that's kind of what you're doing the gym to be consistent and also kind of get back to a certain like feel like level wise that you're comfortable with. Like why is the gym important for you?
To stay fit, also just the way I feel, right? Like just going ahead and getting in the gym in the morning just gives me a good feel throughout my whole day. Gets the blood flowing. And that's kind of it too. I just do it for myself too. That way I'm not sitting around in the morning and I can go ahead and get my day started, get on my feet.
True. And then any music on the side? If anybody doesn't know, Max makes some music too.
Yeah. I mean, as of late, so I've been talking to Tip, other Jack, and since I have so many songs, it's not more so like focused on recording a bunch of songs right now. Like I'll probably record a couple of songs around like along the way, but I want to go ahead and get a lot of cover arts done, do a single, do an EP. Hopefully in this studio, maybe do a couple live shots, like a couple like live performance sort of videos, tiny desk type thing. And then two or three music videos out of those 9 songs I'll release.
So you're gonna do 9?
Yeah, 9
Is
songs.
the goal to have those out before you start knocking?
Yeah, so a single, 8 songs, 2 videos, and then 2 like live ones is on the agenda before the summer.
So you've been in the lab with them at all? Are you getting in the lab? When are you getting back in there?
I'm just putting all the songs together at this point. So I mean, I already have them all done. Obviously, it's basically a collection of songs over the last, since I was 16. So a collection of songs over the last 4 years, the 9 that I want to put out. Kind of just coordinating what goes together. Got Tip working on some arts, and then when he gets back, shoot the videos. And then go ahead and line up all the songs on DistroKid and on all platforms, ready to release for a certain date.
Cool. And DistroKid is just what releases them on platforms at the same time?
Yeah, you're just able to set a certain time and day that you want to release it, and then at that time it'll just release on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, all platforms possible.
Sick. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to get some live shots in here.
Yeah,
might as well use this room.
Absolutely. It's an all-purpose studio.
Yeah, dude. Well, appreciate you coming and talking about your goals and where we've been. I'm really excited for 2024 for you. I mean, we're pretty tight at this point. We've been in this for a little bit together, right?
Yeah,
You've been in it since 2021. But I know that, this year definitely have seen some growth, but going from almost 200 to 500K plus, like, can't imagine when we sit back at this table again after you doing that next summer. I just feel like it's going to be even another completely different feel, right?
Yeah.
Like the growth that you've seen there. And, I want to stay dialed on how that can help you and your family and your future family. And I just love seeing how this can change things. But do you have any parting words to rookies? I guess this is one podcast that I think this podcast is really helpful to rookies.
Yeah.
Do you have any parting words for rookies in December here that are gearing up to sell for their first time that could be applicable to just any rookies in the industry?
Dude, for any rookies, man, it just comes to preparation. I think like last year with rookies, like the difference from like our like RPR compared to like a guy like Gabe Rook, the biggest thing was preparation. Gabe was prepared, and also he put in a lot of hours during. Like we talked about earlier, all that stuff's super important, right? As a rookie, knock as many doors as you can, talk to as many people as you can, put in the hours, train during the summer. But the training before the summer is what's going to, separate you from being that guy that's going to do between 125 and 150 to that rookie that's going to go out and go do 250, 200. So I think the preparation from like now, if you're a rookie that's lucky enough to sign this early, you should go ahead and be dialing it in. You should be getting as many trainings as possible, asking as many people in Omega as possible because we have so many good experienced reps and team leaders, and just picking everyone's brain as a rookie.
Pick some brains and get ready to go. Mentally prepare your pitch, and gold from Max, aka Young Esh. Awesome, they call him on the streets.
On the streets only.
Right. All right, dude. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Let's get to it.